In 1975, Audrey Marie Hilley poisoned her husband with arsenic. 3 years later, she poisoned her own daughter the same way. When investigators closed in, she didn't run far. She ran smart. She faked her own death, disappeared for 3 years. Then she came back, but not as herself. She returned as a completely different woman, her own twin sister. And she moved back in with her husband, the one she tried to kill. This is how she almost got away with murdering 2 people. But before the fake twin, there was real murder. Arsenic, insurance policies, a husband who died sick in 1975, a daughter who nearly died the same way 3 years later, and a woman who smiled through it all like nothing was wrong. Audrey Marie Hilley didn't just poison her family, she poisoned an entire town's trust. And when authorities finally caught up to her, she vanished. Anniston, Alabama, 1950s. The kind of town where everyone knows your business, and Audrey Marie Frazier knew exactly what business she wanted. She was beautiful, charming, the kind of woman who made an entrance. She married Frank Hilley in 1951, her high school sweetheart, and they built a life that looked perfect on the surface. 2 kids, Michael and Carol, a house, a job, the whole package. Except it wasn't enough. Frank worked steady. Marie had her secretary job. But Audrey didn't want a secretary's life. She wanted wealth, status, the kind of lifestyle their paychecks could never buy. And that gap between what she had and what she wanted, that gap became dangerous. By the mid-70s, the cracks were showing. The spending, the tension, the whispers about Marie's debts. Then Frank got sick. Spring, 1975. Frank Hilley complained of nausea, stomach pain, constant gnawing illness. Doctors ran tests. Nothing. They diagnosed him with hepatitis, infectious hepatitis, the kind that just happens sometimes. Except it wasn't happening naturally. While Frank was dying, Marie was calm, present, the devoted wife. And when he died on May 25, 1975, just when an insurance company was waiting to write a check, Marie collected $31,000. No one asked questions. 3 years later, Marie took out another policy, this time on her daughter Carol. And in 1978, Carol started getting sick with the exact same symptoms her father had. Carol was healthy. Then Carol was nauseous. Then Carol couldn't feel her hands. Marie played the devoted mother perfectly,
You look scared.
stayed by Carol's side, even gave her injections to help with the nausea, she said. Each shot made Carol worse. The numbness spread. The doctors were baffled. Some suggested it was all in her head, psychosomatic. But Carol knew something was terribly wrong. One of her doctors ordered a heavy metals test, just to rule something out. The results came back and the doctor's face went pale. Arsenic, dangerously high levels. Carol's body was full of it. Once they realized what was happening to Carol, investigators looked back. They exhumed Frank's body. The autopsy results were the same. Arsenic, lethal amounts. Frank Hilley hadn't died from hepatitis. He'd been murdered, slowly, systematically, by the woman he trusted to care for him. When police arrested Marie on October 3, 1979, they found exactly what they suspected, a vial of arsenic in her purse. Audrey Marie Hilley was charged with attempted murder and murder. The trial was set. The town of Anniston was in shock. How could the quiet woman who went to church, who smiled at neighbors, who played the role of perfect wife and mother, how could she be capable of this? But Marie had a different question. How could she get out of this? Released on bond in November 1979, she checked into a motel in Anniston. And then she simply disappeared. An FBI manhunt was launched. Bulletins went out. But Marie Hilley vanished like smoke. For 3 years, she was gone. What nobody knew was that she wasn't hiding. She wasn't running scared. She was building a new life, a better life. She became Robbie Hannon in Florida, vibrant, wealthy-seeming, the kind of woman who didn't have a past. In Florida, she met John Homan. They fell in love. They married in May 1981. They moved to New Hampshire together. A new house, a new life, a new identity. Everything was perfect. Until she decided Robbie Homan had to die too. Summer 1982. Marie told John she needed to travel to Texas for medical treatment, to settle family affairs. He didn't question it. While Marie was gone, John got a phone call. A woman introduced herself as Teri Martin. She had devastating news. Robbie Homan, his wife, had passed away in Texas. She was very sorry. Robbie had donated her body to medical science. John shouldn't worry about making arrangements. John was devastated. His wife was dead. He had no idea he was talking to his wife. Marie had called him from hundreds of miles away, pretending to be someone else, orchestrating her own funeral. But the deception didn't stop there. After weeks of Teri consoling him over the phone, sympathetic, warm, slowly building a relationship, she told him something. Teri was coming to New Hampshire. She was going to stay for a while, keep him company in his grief. In November 1982, a woman showed up at John's door, slimmer than Robbie, different hair, but she said she was Teri Martin, Robbie's twin sister.
I thought I was losing my mind.
John believed her, completely. His wife's twin had come to comfort him in his time of loss. Audrey Marie Hilley had successfully murdered her husband, poisoned her daughter, faked her death, and come back to live with her own husband, posing as her own imaginary sister. She even published an obituary for Robbie Homan in the local paper, to make it all seem real. For a while, the insane charade actually worked. But cracks always show. Co-workers grew suspicious of this strange new woman who had appeared so suddenly. Neighbors wondered about the twin they'd never heard of. Something didn't add up. A detective with the New Hampshire State Police noticed the obituary for Robbie Homan. Something about it felt wrong. He started to investigate. He couldn't verify a single detail. No death certificate, no records of cremation, no proof that Robbie Homan had ever actually existed, except in the obituary. The detective figured it out. Robbie Homan and Teri Martin were the same person. They brought Teri in for questioning. Her story fell apart almost immediately. Under interrogation, she finally broke. She confessed. Her real name was Audrey Marie Hilley, fugitive, wanted for murder in Alabama. John Homan found out his wife wasn't dead. She was alive, and she was a killer. In January 1983, after 3 years on the run, the escape artist was finally caught. June 1983. Guilty of murdering Frank Hilley. Guilty of attempting to murder Carol. Life in prison plus 20 years. In prison, Marie was the model inmate. Quiet, diligent. She did clerical work. She followed the rules. Her good behavior earned her several one-day passes over the years. She always came back. Until February 1987. She was granted a 3-day furlough to visit family in Anniston. John Homan, still devoted, still in love with the woman who'd deceived him so completely, had moved back to town. They met at a local motel. When John left for a few hours, Marie saw her opening. She disappeared again. Left a note asking for forgiveness. Another manhunt. But this escape would be different. For 4 days, she hid in the cold. A winter rain fell relentlessly. She had nothing, no plan, no resources. On February 26, 1987, a woman was found crawling on a resident's back porch, disheveled, incoherent, severe hypothermia. It was Audrey Marie Hilley. She was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. Her heart gave out. She died a few hours later. The poisoner. The escape artist. The woman who murdered her family and faked her own death and came back as her own twin. She died alone, exposed, in the cold. Not in a prison cell where justice put her, but in the elements, hunted to the end by her own desperate need to run. Audrey Marie Hilley remains one of the most shocking cases in American crime history. Not because the crime was violent, but because of what it reveals about how far someone will go, how many lies they'll tell, how many people they'll hurt, all to chase a life they thought they deserved. If you've never heard this story before, share it, because most people still haven't.